I'm not sure if this qualifies as an underdog token. I guess it does because I looked at its performance, and based on the performance, I will rate it as an underdog token. However, the level of, I don't want to say hype because it's not really hype, but the level of push to see it succeed, I think that's the best way to state it, is strong. And I think it belies its current graph appearance. And at the top of this, I need to just clarify, I'm going to cover it as an underdog token. And it's important, I would say critical, that you understand everybody in the land. So we're talking YouTube. When I say the land, we're talking YouTube, we're talking Twitter, even Facebook to a lesser degree, although Facebook feels like it's dead. But everybody who does any sort of coverage of cryptocurrencies, there will be overlap in the coverage, and there will be times when certain coverage does not agree with other coverage. That's necessary. It's healthy. It's natural. Different opinions matter because it means that people are not just group thinking around a thing. With this one, I had a high level concern of the appearance of groupthink. And so I wanted to share my opinion of what I see. So I didn't ignore it because I think it deserves some attention for what I saw. It certainly deserves it. It's something worth looking at. That's why I'm covering it. You heard me say it. The ones I cover are the ones I think are worth your time to at least take a look at. So I'm going to cover this one under the auspice that I see that there's something here. However, I don't share necessarily the groupthink that I see. And I know that there might have been other coverage that I'm not aware of because I don't scrutinize everybody else's coverage. So it could be that other critical coverage was there. I want it more in the forefront than I've seen. So the token, the underdog, quote unquote underdog I'm going to cover is Project Feenix V2. Site is projectfeenix.games. And right off the jump, this project, I'd call it a project because it's a little bit more than a cryptocurrency. This project, it speaks to something that I covered on the show a little while ago, which was the struggle around NFTs and somehow tying NFT and NFT behaviors to something tangible, to something that makes sense, that adds value to the NFT space. So this one talked about, at least alluded to, how this would potentially work. Potentially. It didn't really go into the details I would want to see around it. And unfortunately, although their white paper, I celebrate them, Hercules, for having a PDF white paper instead of the garbage Git book. Unfortunately, their white paper is crap, in my opinion. I don't rate it at all. I would argue it's probably the third worst white paper I've ever seen. It doesn't tell me what I would want to see. That doesn't mean that they didn't put effort into it. I see they put effort into it, but it doesn't tell me what I would want to see out of a white paper. It feels more like a marketing slick that is just designed to market. You would print it out and you would hand it to somebody to market it. And the stuff they say in there doesn't really tell me much. It has a little bit of what they plan to do around the games, but it's fluffy. It's not as specific as I'd like it to be. So I'll give an example here. The introduction's fine. They're talking about crypto's new, right? We're right at the cusp of something. We want to try to create something that's transparent. We want to try to create something that is built around gaming. Gotcha, no problem. Then they talk about the game and how that might work and blockchains and gaming and unlimited games, news, tech support, chat rooms. It's a very lofty vision around games. No problem. Check charts, access NFTs. No problem. Add friends through your wallet addresses. No problem. Use the token to support purchases. No problem. But it doesn't tell me enough, for me, specifics about how you plan to do what you're positioning to do. There was a game I bought actually back when I was a teenager, and I forget the name of the game, Vegas something or something stakes. I don't remember, but I might even have the name wrong. The cover of it was a casino and it had a scantily clad girl. And when you played this game, it was what you would envision the metaverse to be. You're walking into the casino and then you go, there's obviously no women to be seen in this game. So the cover is straight up false, but you go and you play these games, you know, baccarat, roulette, blackjack, slots, etc. And then they plan to have a second version. Actually, in the game, it says there's another room and you try to access the room and it says you need to insert disc 2, and they never published a disc 2 because it was too lofty in what they were trying to do. That's what this reminds me of, as they're telling you just enough. Teaser. That's the best word for it. Teaser. There's nothing wrong with teaser. I just don't think it belongs in the white paper. I think the white paper, personally, should be more specific as to the inners of what how you're gonna do it. It doesn't have to tell you code or that, but as an example, when you tell me ability to add friends to the wallet address in the platform, okay, add friends is pretty straightforward, but you know, every game can do that because blockchain's public. Like, that's what I mean. That when you say add friends, what do we mean? What are we going to be doing, right? So as an example, what I might want to see as in opposed to this is friends lists. And the friends lists will scan blockchain for the game for everybody who's on the game. And you can attribute a friendly name against the wallet address to find your friends, so that when you're playing the game together, you can see their name, even though you don't necessarily know their wallet address. But when you attach their wallet address, it allows you to da-da-da-da-da-da. Like, step me through what that might look like. Because remember, the goal of this is to try to envision what the goal is, and the vision of the project is in your mind. I should be able to draw some image about what it is that this is going to be. If this was a pitch deck, because that's what it looks like to me, as a pitch deck. If it was a pitch deck, they're going to want to see a little bit more in how you're going to do what you're going to do. Talk me through a little bit more than the high level. It gives just enough to tease, but in my opinion, not enough to hold interest. So that's number one. The rest of what they have, I feel, is just fluffy stuff that doesn't really mean anything. And I say that because most people that would look at it, it would almost be like you copy pasted it from some template. I don't know if they did or didn't. I don't think it matters. The point is, I'm thinking more should be there. That's all. They go into the tokenomics: liquidity 2%, redistribution, aka reflections, of 2%, marketing wallet 4%, 1% for the core team. No problem. And then they have a roadmap, aka road to success. Immediately I hit a yellow flag because I see create awareness on YouTube and other social media platforms. They're very generic about what they're saying, rightfully so. Phase 2, YouTube, donate to charity, and then YouTube and other social media platforms activity. And then phase 3, YouTube and other social media. Phase 4, YouTube and other social media. It's not that it's going after YouTube. It's not that it's social media activity, but that's all that's there. I don't see, when we call this a road to success is not just about pitching on YouTube or social media. There's got to be more to it. What more are you going to do? Certainly, you've got to have some other plan beyond this. I would expect by phase 2 at minimum that, and they say the beta for the card game is phase 3. So if the beta for the card game is phase 3, I would expect phase 2 to be sample artwork made available for holders to review and give us feedback so we can make some changes. I would expect something like our D-app, because I'm assuming they're going to have a D-app of some kind in order to do the friends list. Our D-app will be made available. It won't be fully functional, but it'll be ready to go. Like, I don't see anything in their, quote, road to success that gives me tangible progress. The teams, they have photos, they have names. That's good. My downside would be the fact that it's all Twitter profiles. Maybe that's all they have. Chances are they've got some LinkedIns. I would like them to have their LinkedIns, because the LinkedIns tell us about credentials. They tell us about background. Yes, I know that I can go search it. I shouldn't really have to. Be proud of your credentials and promote it, because that's how you strengthen trust from the community in who you are, and more importantly, how you could be tracked down if it turns out that things aren't on the up and up which I'll get to that in a hot second. But I'm not really pleased personally with the roadmap. It doesn't tell me anything. It doesn't tell me what you're going to do. Just pitching on YouTube, social media doesn't do anything, because you'd have to have a product to pitch. If all we're doing is pitching that this is a cool token, my guess is that many people are not going to buy into that for the long term, and it's not sustainable. And the graph I currently see appears to sustain that thought process that you're going to need a little bit more on your roadmap than what you got. Now, maybe they don't know. That's fine. Just simply say in phase 2, TBD, but you certainly should have some ideas. There's got to be some design thinking around this. There's got to be some ideas around things you'd like to be able to do and when you plan to deliver them. And I would say, most missing in this is dates, target dates, so that we can test and hold accountable. This launched a little while ago, because I've seen some of the messaging for a while. So there's been enough time that we should have come up with more ideas. If they come back and they say, well, we talked about that in AMA, I would say, I'm calling that a yellow flag, because it should be on your site. Your site should be your definitive source for this information, consistently updated with it. So if you've made these decisions on what you want to build and deliver, why have you not updated your roadmap? The response should not be that they didn't think it's important or that it's, quote, pinned to Telescam. It should be, you know what, he's right, our website is lacking and we need to make some updates. That should probably be in your phase 2 at this point. But as I look at phase 1, there are other things not yet complete. So maybe it's something that you shift in phase 1 to get that done. It appears, because they said website and white paper release in phase 1, but if we're saying that that's the last game for the website, because there's no additional steps to update it, I would call that a yellow flag. The website, to me, should be the definitive source for all information, all decisions, everything else. And I'm not criticizing their website by itself. I'm saying the information is missing. The website by itself is fine. Social media presence is decently good. They have open contacts where you can reach them directly. They're not forcing you to Telescam from what I can see. And the links appear to all work. So it's not the website I'm talking about. I'm saying information that you've gleaned to support the roadmap, I don't see it there. So where is it and why isn't it there? And if it's already been decided and it's somewhere else, I'm saying your website should reflect what all these decisions are, because your roadmap currently doesn't tell me anything. And that would be a concern. Going down into the media section. The media section, for me, in this process, it's basically a bunch of videos, and the videos are from various people that have covered this project, which is consistent with what they said they were going to do in the roadmap. However, somebody that's looking at this, they're going to assume that it's just a bunch of shilling. They're going to assume that there's nothing here. There's not much to it. This is not telling people what they need to know. This is not a criticism of anybody who's done coverage. I think all but one of these people, they've done the best they could in trying to bring awareness to what's potentially possible here. And I know that some of these people were not compensated for this process. But I'm saying from an outside lens, my theory, however it could be accurate or inaccurate, my theory is somebody looking at this section would look at it and say, this doesn't tell me anything or engender trust. It might actually even turn people off because it's excessive. There's a lot of it. There's a lot. Like, I would probably feature maybe 2 or 3 from different people. So 2 or 3 total, but I'm saying different people, and then rotate it or something. Something where it's not so, it feels like a, I don't know how to describe it, but just like a shopping list or some kind of a menu. Like, it doesn't scream to me of we're putting our best face forward. And most importantly, I don't see, and maybe it's there because I'm not going to click play on each and every one of these, but I'm not seeing where there's the team doing their own video for their own purposes to promote it themselves without any external YouTube personality. I would love to see some kind of a group session or a group Zoom or something with the internal folks coming and talking about the project. Here's what we're doing. Here's why we're doing it. Here's our goals. We're putting a face to it. We're putting it on the air so you can see that we're legit and that we're real people and that our photos aren't just copied from LinkedIn. I don't see any of that. That concerns me personally. And I would assume that some investors would look at this stream and they would be concerned as well, because again, it's excessive. There's just a lot of external people, and then they come across as not even shilling. Some of them are, but not all of them. It just comes across as excessive pitch. And I don't think it would directly cause people not to buy, but I think it would cause people to hesitate on how much they invest. If all we care about is increasing the holder counts, great, probably problem solved. People might toss $20 in it and see what happens. But it struck me in their messaging that they might want more than that they actually might want strong confidence. The graph I see doesn't tell me that they've achieved that goal, and I suspect it's because of presentation. That's what I'm getting at. Presentation doesn't seem to work for me, brother. So then my favorite section of the whole thing, and I know this sounds weird, but my favorite section of the whole thing is the FAQ. So there's a Feenix V2 is the name of the token. There was a V1, and there's a whole big catastrophe around the V1 and Fidd, who's one of the people on the project. And the whole thing is just, I don't even want to call it a cluster. It's levels of weird. And I want to call out one thing. First, I give them kudos for describing what happened. My criticism, I'll say, to be fair, is I don't think, when we say full transparency, I want names. If you're going to say full transparent, I want names. So I think they pulled punches on their FAQ. So the background behind V1 is this person, Fidd, had made an error in the contract, and as a result, it was affecting the marketing wallet. And if you remember, in some other tokens, the marketing wallet, of course, is owned by the team. And many tokens, that's a path for them to rug pull the project. So they caught this, and they fixed it, and they relaunched as V2, and then did an airdrop to people. This goes then into the second FAQ question, and I can tell based on the flow of the questions why the FAQ exists. That's what's my favorite section. Apparently, this Fidd person had been an admin for a different token. Here's where I started to have some concerns, because they didn't give names. I wanted a name of the token. Yes, I can go to Etherscan and get it. I don't feel like I should have to. I feel like they should put their best face forward and say, look, here's what it is. Here's the token by name. Here's the people involved. Here's who jacked what. And it seemed like they were pulling punches. Now, whether that's due to because I think he's from a different, I think he said Ireland or something, but maybe his host country or something where he was not able to, but I would have rather they straight say, Fidd was an admin on the, in this case, Winry, NU, Telescam group, and he was operating their bots for them. Give names. Then say, you know, the developer up front, he wouldn't reveal himself. And, you know, Fidd got suspicious. Straight names. Now, I looked at the detail. I'm not going to bore you with it, but I tracked down the old white paper for this Winry Inu. It had an identification of a person in that white paper. So I'm struggling on that one. I'm struggling to know, and this is my criticism of the FAQ. When I look in the white paper, there's a face and there's a name. There's actually two people. So are we saying that these were fake photos, which is possible? The spelling errors seem to confirm this. Or were they real people and he's pulling punches and he's not just outright saying, yep, the dude's name was Spencer. I'm not criticizing him. I'm saying that in the FAQ, I think they should have just dropped names where possible and tell the full story. If what we're saying is the Winry Inu white paper was fake in terms of the photos and the names, no problem. I would like to see that in FAQ so people understand. As far as we knew, this was fake. And then basically what that tells us is that Fidd was the mark. And for those that don't understand the word mark, it's used in a lot of contexts, but it comes from the wrestling business most notably. It's a person who is used for something because they're not smart enough to catch on that they're being used. So in the wrestling business, you're a mark because we're putting on a show and you can't tell that it's a show, and then you pay us money thinking that it's something other than what it is. But you also are you're so embedded in it, you think it's real, right? Still real to me, damn it, is the joke. In crypto, the mark goes back to like Suzuki Inu. In Suzuki Inu, I'm pretty sure it was Suzuki, they had an AMA with the cult leader to present the project. At this time, it's supposed to be on SineMask. And the guy that was on the AMA was not the developer. In a lot of these tokens that don't originate in the United States, for example, or in the United Kingdom, they'll present somebody, the devs won't put themselves on camera. In some countries, that's understood, like China, because of the laws. But in other countries, they do it because they know they're going to cheat you. So what they do is they find these marks in the telescam, which is another reason I don't like telescam. And usually the mark is somebody who's just balls over bones about the project. They're just super excited about the project. They're excited to be part of it. And they're a whale even possibly. And they're just to the moon about the project. The devs will approach that person, usually in private message, and they'll ask them they'll say, we want you as part of the team, and we'll have you, moderate our group, and you'll be our face, and you'll present our project, and you'll help shill us, and da-da-da. And this person's so excited that they get to be part of this thing, they jump on board, and that's what it looks like happened here with Fidd, is he was asked to be part of this, and turns out it was all basically kind of an embezzlement type situation where they're kind of taking the funds, and he's taking the blame. He's taking the heat because he's involved. Part of the issue I think people had, and it was hard for me to find the ETH comments, but it's because they're on the original, the V1 contract, not the V2. So either people said, we'll let it go now, or they have moved on to another, like a Satama, so they can put comments on that one about how it's a scam. I don't know. But in this case, Fidd was involved and essentially was the face of the brand because he's the admin on the telescam. So he's the one that people are interacting with. And the risk that he would have taken doing that is when things go south, guess what? They're going to go after him. So the FAQ is just explaining this. They're explaining that he basically was a mark. He was a mark. He was used as a mark. He was a fall guy. And when this happened, a lot of people now treat him as a scammer because he was associated to a project that essentially rug pulled. The story is that Fidd came to this and helped spin this up because he wanted to try to do right by people. The reason that I think people got sketchy in the initial V1 situation, the reason I said it's like this catastrophe is it's around a marketing wallet again. So in this other Winry Inu, there's this conversation about taking funds from the marketing wallet. And then now this person who was involved in that project where the marketing wallet was essentially having funds embezzled is involved in this other project in a V1, and people connect the dots. And then all of a sudden, due to what's presented as a quote coding error, the marketing wallet has issues again. Now people are creating their own, outcome. They're creating their own summation to say, we think this guy's scamming again because it's too convenient that over in this Winry Inu, it was marketing wallet related and he was there, and then he came to this project and we have another marketing wallet related issue causing this V2. I suspect that when people created that narrative in their minds, it harmed the V2's potential to grow, in addition to the need to do a migration, which caused them to react in desperation, which was to have a bunch of people not shill it, but basically just kind of put the word out that, hey, this thing could be something, and there's solid tokenomics, and it's a good team. They've opened up themselves, That's my theory. Now, what added to the catastrophe and why it resulted as a catastrophe, apparently Winry Inu had been CertiK audited. I don't know anything about the KYC, and I'm assuming one was not done. But apparently it was CertiK audited. So that made CertiK look bad, if that's true. That made CertiK look bad because it validates what I said before, that people can, the scammers are very creative about how they can get money out of a project. And you can't know. Now, when I looked at that white paper for WinRenew, I would have, if they had gotten on the line with me, I'd have laughed in their face off this white paper. And the moment I saw that, like I didn't know about this WinRenew until after the fact. It apparently launched in October. I didn't know jack about this thing. This is, like I said, probably the, I said that the Feenix V2's white paper is bad. This is worse. This is the worst. I'm sorry, but it's the worst white paper I have ever, I'm not even talking just crypto, folks. I'm saying the worst white paper I've ever seen. And the fact that people, I don't like that people got scammed, but it's like, dude, you're not looking at the white paper. I know people are not looking at the white paper if they bought into this. There's no way that they looked at the white paper if they bought into this, because there's nothing in here that should have told you that this is legitimate. Nothing in this. This is, you could take a recent high school grad and have them build a white paper 50 times better than this. I'm kidding you not. This is the worst thing I've ever seen. And it's sad because there have been so many scam projects and abandoned projects that had white papers way better than this. Santa Coins was way better than this. Dogezilla, which has not been able to sustain success, is still one of the best white papers in the business. This is terrible. Terrible. And what's worse, I see that what happened in this drain and everything else, and they fell for this and the forcing the telescam and all that business. And these people are really upset, and I understand why, because it happened, but I got to call it for what it is. Anybody that bought into this project did not read this white paper. I'm telling you that with confidence, having known none of them. There's no way they read this white paper. If they say they did, I think they're lying. And I'll say that, and I got no problems holding to that, holding firm. If anybody who was there back in October for this WinRenew that can speak to what happened in the telescam, bring the smoke, because I want, and straight up admit that you did not read this white paper, because there's no way you could have. And if you didn't, this is part of the reason why I have created my channel, was to encourage why the white paper matters. The white paper cannot lie. It can misrepresent, sure, but I'm saying if you have a crap white paper, the project's probably crap. If you have a bad white paper, there's potential. But if you have a crap white paper, I'm talking crap. I'm talking one that has no redeemable quality, that was slapped together in 10 minutes, that doesn't have any grammatical value, that has caps are all jacked up, spelling's all jacked up. You got emojis in the damn thing. You got phony images of streets that don't matter. If any crap white papers cannot lie, that tells you scam straight up. I say that, again, Feenix's is not a good white paper. I think it sucks. I think it's crap, but it's not as crap as this one. The WinRe is a level of crap. Like, there's levels to crap. You can have a crap white paper, there's potential to fix it. I talked about, and I broke down earlier. For those naysayers, I broke down. I think you should give more details about what you're talking about. It's crap because it's lacking in details, right? It's more marketing. It's more teaser. This is crap because it's crap. Like, that, there's levels to it. So I want to be clear. I'm not saying that Feenix is a scam because of the white paper. I'm saying that there's levels to crap. And when you have a total crap white paper, it's clearly a scam. Anybody who was in WinRe back in October, I would love to hear from you. So his association to this WinRenew now has followed him into the initial project. The issue with the marketing, and as you've heard me say, migrations, I think turn people off. It's a double whammy. I think those two things are the big things that are harming the project, is his association to this that happened before, number one. Number two, the migration, having to do it, and of course, the fact that the migration was due to a symptom that was related to what happened to Winry, I think all of it ties together. Reputation management is a challenging thing for anything, not even just crypto. It's hard, but there's a science to it. There are ways that you can do reputation management to restore faith and confidence in the investor pool. One way to start goes to number 3 that I think is turning people off, that media page. That media page, to me, it's got to go. I think that's turning people off, in my opinion. I don't think it's helping you any. The lack of details and things, I think, is a problem. The roadmap, I don't even regard as a roadmap. I think that's a problem. So I see that, they clearly want to do something, but they're not telling me really what they want to do. There's other issues they call it FAQ as far as wallets that people are questioning, and I can tell that this is in direct response to people that are now challenging them to why should I trust you? Give me a reason to trust you. When you get to the point that people are trying to look for reasons to trust you, that goes to reputation management. And I think their answers are fine. I don't have any issues with the answers. I know they talked about getting a CERTIC audit at some point, but with what happened with Winry, if it was CERTIC audited, I don't know that that's going to solve anything. And again, it's on Ethereum, so they can't really rely on things like desert finance. So I'm not sure beyond, again, to me, I would totally do the white paper. It's almost like Imperium token that I talked about. The white paper, I would trash it and redo it. And I would refer them, if they were listening, and I'll add them, I would refer them to my rubric, because my rubric cannot steer you wrong, and spend a lot more time on the white paper with more details about what it is that's going on with this thing. So the white paper, I would totally revamp from the ground up. I would get rid of the media tab entirely. I wouldn't even do it. I would totally trash it. I would put on the main page just a video with the project team, talking about the project, talking about the motivations, talking about the inspiration, talking about the core values, talking about why they're here. But it should be the core team, nobody else in YouTube land. Don't do that, because certain people might perceive that improperly. And I think they have an appetite for getting to see the team and hearing from the team. And if you can't do that, for whatever reason, no problem, that I would just trash the media section entirely. And you might even say, we've been reviewed by a number of different notable people in social media, and have those people do a write-up or something. I don't know. I would personally get rid of that whole darn thing. That's my opinion. I think that media section is not good. I might consider creating, if I were advising them, I don't see one, a medium. If they have one, I don't see it. Maybe it's there and it's not linked, but I don't see a medium. I would consider a medium. The reason I would consider a medium, one thing I learned about certain other project tokens is having the medium and doing your regular updates and your regular messaging to the investors seems like it's appealing to certain investors. They like to see that you can have something. And I talked about being searchable sources. They have searchable sources. They have a Reddit site. It's not really doing anything for them. And this goes to social media management, engagement with your various outlets, not just Telescam. It seems like Telescam is still their go-to, which bothers me. And then they have Twitter presence, and Twitter presence seems like it's decent strong. They have Facebook presence. I haven't looked at it. And Instagram presence, I'm not sure. For them, games, NFTs, yeah, sure. I think Reddit's underserved. I think they need to get on that. I think they need to get people on there that are actively engaging with the Reddit community. Not only that, but also cross-posting. Cross-post to all the different cryptocurrency communities. Get the word out that they're here. Here's what it does. Here's what we're trying to do, to create more of a buzz in Reddit than what I saw. Because what I see in their Reddit, they might as well not even have it, and that's not good. Right? And it looks like they just created it just yesterday, so already they're fighting from behind. So I think there's opportunity to leverage this, but it doesn't look like they're using it. Like, just because you created it yesterday doesn't mean you can't get the word out more than you have. Right now, the number of members you have, there's no reason it should be this low, except that your engagement is low. Your engagement should be more. I'm a mod on a forum that I don't even need to touch because it basically moderates itself. And it grew over to 100 members with me doing nothing other than having a creative name. And that's Solo Path Traveler. So, because when Octopath Traveler came out, Solo Path was a tactic that people are still doing. So I just created Solo Path Traveler kind of as a joke, and then that forum's been popping, and I haven't even need to be there because everybody behaves. But the point is, I engaged with the community to spin it up and build it, and then let it kind of grow on its own. I think that's what they need, is more engagement in their Reddit than what I see. And the reason the Reddit's important is, and the Medium, just like the Medium, searchability. People find it. They stumble across it when they're doing basic searches. Reddit's a great source to get search visibility. Twitter has some, but it's nowhere near like what Reddit would do, what Medium would do, and your own website. That's why I want these sources updated. So if I look at the three main sources, this goes to my final concern, and I'll wrap up. If I look at the three main sources of being able to find, like the problem is I need to be able to find you on a search engine. It's going to be Reddit, it's going to be Medium, and it's going to be your website predominantly. The seconds are going to be your Facebooks and the Twitters of the world. But most people are going to be looking for a flat web page of some kind. So your web page should be up to date with the latest, greatest information, more detailed than what you have, and get rid of the sections that I believe, in my opinion, are doing you a disservice, the media tab, and create a video that talks with you. You guys are presented. You guys are putting yourself out there. That's what I would do. I would do more engagement with your Reddit than you're currently doing. I see that it's there, but I would do more engagement. I would not delegate it to third-party admins. I would have the devs in here. Every last one of them, I think, should be in here and engaging with the community and helping to draw more eyes by way of using Reddit to its full potential. Reddit is one of the most powerful tools that many of these cryptos don't use. The fact they created one is awesome, but I don't think they're using it the most. And for some reason, they flagged it as not safe for work. I don't know if that was intentional, but they shouldn't do that because you're automatically excluding like 40% of the community. You're dealing with games. You're dealing with NFTs. You want those young people in there. So unless you plan to do not safe for work content, the way you do that in Reddit is you create a separate group for not safe for work content versus the main content. So I think the Reddit strategy needs work, needs a lot of work. It's good you have it, but you need work. And I would spin up a Medium. And the Medium to me should be your blog post history of all the different things we're talking about as you work and as you build, as you develop roadmaps. Maybe even consider a Trello board that shows all the different things you're working on and their current statuses that people can go and look at. Any opportunity that you can be as transparent as you can with what you're doing, the specifics of what you're doing. I believe that's how you're going to increase trust back into the project. I'm not a fan of the name, frankly, of the token. I think it may confuse people because it doesn't scream, what does this do? I think the way you get around that is to tie your marketing around the name somehow. I don't know what that means specifically because I'm not in that room with the developers. I'm saying figure out how your strategy with everything I talked about, your website, the Reddit, the Medium, everything, figure out how to create something around that name. I don't know. If it were Project Feenix, I would say get that cat from like the 50s or whatever and use that or something where you can, something visual, something that catches people's eye. I think that's lacking. You're assuming that these YouTubers will drive traffic, and they'll drive traffic. Every last one of them are good at driving traffic. That's not the key though. The key is stick rate. How many people are going to stay and how many people are going to buy based on what they see. That's where I see this gap. It's not about getting people there. It's about keeping people. And I think awareness can be improved, the quality of people, I should say, by using Reddit, if you use Reddit correctly, with cross-posting. If you did nothing more right now than put what you're doing with the devs, I'm saying the devs, what you're doing, why you're doing it, why you're here, why you matter, why you're the best, and, brag a little bit, and you did cross-posting, creative cross-posting. Cross-post to the R cryptocurrency, as toxic as they are, I think they would give you a chance. Moonshots, I think they would give you a chance. Even to like Satamas, sure, why not? Shibs, sure, why not? Floki, sure, why not? Cross-post to them and just say, hey, we're here and we like to talk. Create partnerships with some of those tokens. Get the word out. That's how you're going to drive quality traffic. This is my opinion on it. So if you're listening to this to its duration, and I hope that you are because I've advocated that you do so, I don't think this is a scam. I think it's a solid project. I don't see anything wrong with the code per se. I think it's a solid project. I think if you're looking at the graph and you're kind of like, I've heard about it, but I don't know why I should bother. I believe the graph is hurt by the things that I've talked about just recently. You've got the baggage with Fidd, number one. You've got the fact that that baggage was related to a marketing wallet, and then now you had V1 is marketing wallet related with his code, and people are making the assumption that it was actually intentional and not an accident. Because as we know, everything's conspiracy. So you've got to resonate that didn't look good. That was not a good look that happened. So that's a problem. The fact they had to do a migration in the first place, that's a problem. Even though apparently they did airdrops, so the user didn't have to do anything, it was a problem. The other thing I would recommend to them is you might really need to talk to the Everrise people and get on like Everown, perhaps, and get to where the contract is renounced, fully renounced, and can only have changes or whatever submissions by the community to show good faith. Do something to show more good faith than what you got. I would do the white paper from scratch. I would start over and do that over, get way more data than what you got. I would follow the rubric that I've shared because I think it's the best way to have a quality white paper in front. I would absolutely do that. I would drop the media tab entirely, and I would put a video of the team talking about the project, why you're here, what you're doing, why you're doing it, what's your motivations, etc., and so on. Beyond that, I would like to see some samples of what you're going to come up with, and I'd like to see your roadmap give more data about what you're going to do other than chase YouTube and social media. So, projectfeenix.games. If you want to check it out on the Ethereum chain, V2 specifically, you want to check it out on the Ethereum chain, I encourage you to do so. I do not see scam here, and I'm sharing what I see. I don't see scam here. I see a token that has been hampered by baggage. And it's understandable why people would make those leaps of logic because there's so much correlation in the behavior and what happened and a common person. But this isn't like car salesman on Safe Food. This is nowhere close to it. This is different. They did the best they could in trying to affray some of that concern. But I think where they fell short, I think they should have just dropped names, straight up names. It was Winry Inu. You can look at it here. Here's the white paper. Here's what we knew. Here's who we knew. Break that down. I think that should have happened. It didn't happen. I understand the coding issue with V1 to V2. I don't think it could have been avoided, and I think they did the best they could to explain it. So I think they did the best they could to do that. I just think they could have gone further. I think they could have done more and give more information. Like everything I see is around a lack of information. It's not that the information is bad. It's not enough. It's insufficient. There's nothing here that screams that they've thought this through with enough detail. And maybe that's true. Maybe they haven't. Maybe it's still half-baked. Just say that. Just say we're in the formative phases of this. We're still thinking things through. Create your Trello board so people can see what it is that you guys are talking about, what you're planning to do, the ideas that are being bounced around in those meetings. Give people a window into what's happening to give them confidence that it's going to move forward. Because as I look at it, it doesn't tell me that it's going to move forward. I've seen much lesser projects with more than what I see here, and that's what I think they should fix. And if they want the smoke, I would love to talk to them because reputation management is actually one of the services that I offer. And I won't even charge them for that because in their case, it's easy. In their case, it's actually very easy. It all goes to how the information is presented. It's not anything other than how it's presented. Present differently, and there could be something here. Projectfeenix.games on the Ethereum chain. Check it out if you want to. I encourage you to. I think there's potential here. It may be a long play. So if you do invest in it, I wouldn't expect significant return in the short term because according to their roadmap, they got a long way to go before they get to something that is significant of value to be worth it. But if you're patient, there could be something to it. You're just going to need to be accepting of the lack of information that's there. And normally I wouldn't accept that, which is why I want them to fix it. Because I think if they were to fix those gaps I broke down, I think they would see significant spikes because there's a compelling argument in the problem they're trying to solve.